Rosario, and I'm an artist, part of the 79th Scripps Ceramics Annual. For this annual, I've created one installation that's two separate projects. It's called Round These Here Parts, and it features two store installations. One that's a fake bodega called Capamilia Market that's been liquidated and is being managed by a larger grocery conglomerate. And then an art gallery that is quote-unquote newer to this part of town that's helping and aiding the gentrification in the area. I think this is a really interesting installation for the Scripps Annual because, it's just a very bizarre and surreal thing to experience, especially with the crowd that comes in. You have 700 to 1,000 play nerds coming in, being super fanatic about the medium, and then they come here and it's like two make-believe stores that they have to interact with and they have to follow their laws of logic for, which is interesting because in a typical gallery, there is an object, you look at it and that's it. But through these two installations, I'm telling them, no, you're gonna have to interact with people. You're going to have to follow the rules of ring the doorbell, looking in, buying something, interacting with people and the ephemera around. And I think that's just such a great thing for this Scripps show. This is gonna be a very fun one to see how it rocks the audiences. So this is the first store. This is a bodega that has been implanted with this fake history of being around for the past 25 years, being started by this immigrant family that was in the region helping other Filipino-American immigrants. And essentially over the course of those 25 years, the area has been becoming more affluent. People that were originally in the area were being priced out, and so their customers have been leaving and they've been shrinking the store size because they can't keep up with the rent. It's been bought out by this larger grocery conglomerate called Knighton Grocers, which is nothing backwards, which if you know of a certain large grocery store in LA, that is what it is based on. It's colored this green, which is a really common green in the Philippines. There's no real specific green, but I call it buku pandan green because it's the color of this dessert that we have. Just this obnoxious green. Inside you have this store that's in the midst of being liquidated, and there's gonna be all this fake ephemera. It includes real ephemera, like having a store worker that will use this square cash register for actual purchases. There's photos all around that are actually photos of my family and my family's history in California. There's also all these grocery objects, produce that will be for sale. They were priced differently when they were under the ownership of the family, but because Knighton Markets is this really expensive, really chic, celebrity-endorsed grocery store, they sell things really expensive, like $20 avocados and things like that. And then you also have these store shelvings that have canned food, which has sort of been just run dry almost, but there's a really bountiful amount of this orange soap, which is papaya soap, which is really prominent in the Philippines. And it's this kind of skin bleaching soap that people use to lighten their skin. I like really dumb details like this. The way the soaps are arranged in the forms of Western and Eurocentric bricklaying, but also naval battalions. And one that's really obvious is like this kind of naval battalion organization that's based on conquest from Spain, Japan, and America onto the Philippines. This is a thing about gentrification. This is sort of another leg of that I feel like is as important as part of the conversation. There's like tiny details that make this look real and legitimate, but are really just jokes. There is this development billboard here that I made in Photoshop. It's saying here for more information, send the mail, but this address is the LA County dump. There's all these publicly accessible PNGs and images that you find them, they're accessible to the public, and you paste them on, and for some reason it tells everyone this is real. There's some graffiti and also like a now open under new management, which I think to me is really fun because it's an Americana kind of thing over the Philippine flag that I'm gonna sort of drape down a little bit lower so it's covering it a bit more. It's gonna get tagged. I have a few friends that are gonna tag it up too. I really love it when I go to local businesses and there's been obvious tagging, but then they color match slightly wrong. And so I'm gonna do that, and I think that's just kind of an endearing thing for me. There's a mascot. It's gonna be called Pepe for P2, the Puma, that was sort of shoved over into Griffith Park, and they're gonna be holding this sign. This was inspired because Lockheed Martin, the weapons manufacturer, has a skunk mascot, which I think is absolutely just hilarious. And so if there's this company that's coming out, buying out this supermarket, taking away this business from the community and forcing the community that depends on it out, then there should be a cute mascot for this very fancy grocery store. So in comparison to this bodega that is sort of this landmark of the area, fake landmark of the area, then you have this new gallery in town that is called Jen Fryer Gallery. Gentrifier. It's a stupid joke, but I love it. And then there's this neat window here, where obviously it's like no solicitation, but because there's a window, people are gonna be forced to sort of peek in. And it's gonna be really funny because the gallery manager is gonna be right there, so they'll be staring at them very angrily for not obeying no solicitation. One of my favorite things about Los Angeles, especially when you get to Culver City, the street restrictions get absolutely just maniacal. I feel like it pushes so many people out because it's just like impossible to try to maneuver it. And so this gallery has an insane parking structure. So in comparison to this bodega that's very open, this is actually going to be closed for the majority of the time. This is an installation space where it's supposed to be interactive, but force people in the gallery to go around their way of doing things. And so for instance, you can't enter without scanning this QR code and making an appointment on an actual website, by the way. You have to sign up unless you're associated with a higher institution. And you know, there's even, you ring a doorbell to get in. Usually the gallery attendant or gallery manager will be in here, and inside is this fake exhibition of this made-up artist that I think is mainly based on my experience going to a few galleries in LA. There's gonna be a gallery attendant sitting at this desk. If you talk through the window, they will not respond to you. They're supposed to be the coldest person in the room, not at all caring about you unless you're inside with an appointment, and then they'll talk it on and on about all this artwork that means nothing. These are all bootlegs of Peter Voulkos that have just been brightly colored into this like neon and rainbow shades. It's also sort of a jab at, you know, a lot of machismo that goes on in the ceramic art world where people are making new work, but it feels like there's still that kind of superiority that this era of Voulkos brought in. All that stuff is still here, it's just painted differently. So much writing in my work, but so much of it is honestly also just blabber and jabber, and that's mainly because in the long run, the text's purpose is to just have this flexibility of either being annoying, satirical, or a distraction. The first paragraph's mentioning Peter Voulkos and all this stuff and sort of putting him on this high pedestal. But in the end, it sort of does lead to the fact that he was, you know, rude, misogynistic dude with defiling, gouging, and abusing, and referring to the clay as the her. By it being here and being the size of an actual gallery wall text, people will think that this is a legitimate thing. But you know, you can look down and see like there's all these little tidbits. How is this place being sponsored by BlackRock Investment, Launchpad, and Bloomberg? And everything in here has terrible titles. That copper plate, I think, is called In the Paws of a Mouse Once Caught the Rope Tied to a Camel. It's a really funny thing to play with art in this way because again, I'm making fun of myself. And you know, this entire installation with this art gallery gentrifying the space that the bodega is in, it's me sort of also being aware of my job in the art world. You know, I am an artist, but at the same time, where I go and where I do things do affect people. As artists, I think that's a responsibility we do have to take to be conscious of what we're doing and the effects of what we do.
It feels great. I mean, it was fun. You know, like it's just really funny to have that mix of people that get that it's making fun of galleries, but also have that really funny portion of people that don't and are really mad and irate about the fact that it's an appointment system, or the people that come in and they wholeheartedly believe that this is a real artist and that this meaningless work is really about something, because it, you know, it makes me go in my head, I'm like, oh my god, like what am I doing? But at the same time, it's like, it is the statement that it needs to be making.